welcome back to Trinity Community Business Enrichment Center. I am your teacher, Nikki Garcia. Welcome back to Module 4, where we will be building our first web page. Let me give you a little bit about my background. I have a Bachelor of Science in Computer Information System from Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. I have over 11 years experience in web design. So let's delve into our next course. So right here I have a mock-up of the new design or the design of Shade Tree Essentials. This mock-up was done in Photoshop, and we basically want to be able to mimic what's in Photoshop and bring it over into Dreamweaver and take this graphic and take this artwork and turn it into HTML, okay? This is where a lot of the design stuff starts. Some people don't necessarily agree with the way I do it, which is to design it in Photoshop and then try to configure HTML around it. They prefer to set up the HTML and put the graphics around the HTML that they have already established. So I do things a little different, but I mean, every teacher is different and there's more than one way to skin the cat. Okay, so here we go. So the thing that I would do when I create these websites is I kind of slice them up, and they're called slices in Photoshop. And as you can see, I have a big slice right here on the logo. And my reasoning for doing that is when it comes to, and let me so you can see, when it comes to websites, normally the logo is something that is able to be clicked on. And the reason why they allow that is so that you can always go back to the home page. Even if you get lost and you're somewhere on the site and it might not have links, something weird happened, you can always click on the logo and get back to the main page, okay? The next thing that is sliced is our social media icons. You know, you have your Twitter, you have your Facebook, you have your Periscope, you have your Instagram. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on and on and on. Our most popular ones nowadays is just Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. And people are not getting into Periscope, so I'm having to add that to people's sites more because they like the live action or the live recording of whatever they're doing. People like to talk, so and they like to put that kind of stuff up. So yeah, so we have that. And then the next thing that I have sliced is just the background of the images. Basically, the home, about us, our story, all of those links, they will be dynamic links that we utilize, and they will actually be text. They will not be an image. We don't want to use images for links. We've expressed this in previous lessons. The search engines do not interpret those images well, and it prohibits the search engines from finding your other pages. So you don't want to use images for your links. This is something that you actually want to have as text. And then we also have our main image. Now, nowadays we have things like the Revolution slider, which is a plugin on WordPress, or you can find any kind of like photo slider that would allow you to change this image. This image will actually be static for our site, but if you wanted to have images that changed, you know, that slide in and do all this beautiful, lovely stuff. There's a software called Nevo Slider. It used to be free. You might still can find a free version somewhere. If not, I don't really think it's a lot of money. It's a nominal cost, but you can install those scripts onto your server, and the images can slide in and out. Okay. And then we have the other aspect that's sliced about shea butter and the process. And then we have at the bottom sliced our footer, okay? And then it's normally redundant. You normally have your logo or just the name of your company your links again, or whatever the case may be. That's all that stuff, your copyright information and your social media icons is normally redundant. What's in the header normally ends up being in the footer. And also just some extra links that you might not necessarily have put inside of your header sometime. Some things that you don't want easily accessible, like privacy. You might not necessarily want your privacy inside of your main links, but down at the bottom, people put things like their privacy links. So the privacy policy for the website is normally at the bottom. So anyways, these are the slices, and normally what you do is you go to File, Save for Web and Devices, if you're in Photoshop, and then you click Save, and you save it wherever your website is. So that's already been done. I'm going to open up my files in Dreamweaver, and I'm going to open up my image folder, because normally you put you create a folder and you put all your images inside of your image folder, and you'll see website, and all of those website images is the images from Photoshop. Okay, so I've already done a lot of the legwork. We're going to do a review of all the legwork that I've already done, and so that I can explain everything to you. So here we go. We have our main container, okay? And as you look at it, you can see the main, look, I have my comment, main container, as we spoke about in the previous lesson, and then we have div style, and we have EM, okay? This is 1,000 pixels. But remember, I told you that you can go on Google and find the website whereby you can change your pixels to EMs. EMs normally make the websites a little more scalable. In the next lesson, we'll talk about responsive design, and we'll create a page that's more responsive. In other words, what that means is it adapts to whatever device you're using. So if it's an iPad, a mobile phone, whatever the case may be, it'll work for your big site or whatever, your smaller iPads or your phones, okay? So responsive design is really in now. Us creating this page is so that you guys can get the hang of just creating just basic HTML pages without all the extra complications. But that'll be a little advanced nugget that you'll get from me in this course, okay? So here we go. So we have 62.500 EM. We have our margins. Our margins are set to auto, as we talked about. That keeps all the margins all the way around the main div tight without white space. And then we go into our next div. And I want to click it so you can see that it's another div, okay? So this is the main image div that I have up. So the logo, if I click this logo, you'll see that the logo has a link. And the link is to the main page, which is ShadeTreeEssentials.com. Okay, and then on the right-hand side, we have our social media icons. Okay, now this is also in a div as well. Okay, hold on, I'm trying to click it so you can see. It's not letting me click it, but anyways, you have your Twitter icon and your Facebook icon. Now, what happens with this, and I'm gonna zoom out. Hold on, give me a second. Now, what I did with these social media icons is I used an ordered list of the word. So you'll see here, we have UL and UL, and you have LI, LI. So on one of the LIs, I have an image for Twitter, and the other LI, I have the image for Facebook. Now, the way to get this styled, because normally when you have an ordered list like that, and I'm just gonna go back a little bit so that you can understand what's going on. It's normally bulleted items, okay? So, let me zoom in a little bit so you can see what's going on. Ball, colors. Let me do one more just so you can see text. Okay, now we're gonna go down here so you can see what happens. And then you see that it's bulleted items. You have the balls, you have the colors, and you have the text. Now that's what happens. So you can see from this document right here, I use the same concept. But how is it that, and I'm going to zoom back out 1 second. How is it that the Twitter and the Facebook icon does not have a bullet? It's like, how do you do that? Okay, that same, these icons are utilizing cascading style sheets in order for them to be formatted and look the way that they're supposed to look on the website. That's why we were talking about layout previously in the previous lesson, so that you can know that cascading style sheets is what basically lays out your site. Okay, so you don't have to use tables and things of that nature because CSS handles all of that. So if you were to look at the style sheet that goes along with this document, which is stylesheet.css, and the class is called social media, this is what you'll see. Display inline. And what does inline mean? Display inline will basically take that block of data and it will put it all in one line. Okay, so even though it was supposed to be bulleted, this takes the bulleting away. This just makes everything just straight out late. So let me do that in our text. So let's just say I put a style on this UL. Oof. And I'll say display is inline. Okay. Style. Display. Uh-oh. Now I'm going to put this on all of the LIs. And you'll see once I did that everything went straight across. Okay, so that's how you can use these images. All right, and then we're moving down to our links. Now we talked about this earlier. These links are also UL items. They are not bulleted items. And one of the reasons why you can also do this is so that you can tell the search engines. Remember we talked about ADA before. I think that was in lesson 2 or maybe even lesson 1. We talked about ADA accessibility, and what can happen is you can add attributes on here that tells them what each one of these ordered lists basically do. Okay, so that's the reason why you want to put it in a list. It makes your site more ADA friendly. Okay, so that's why I did it, and it also gives the search engines hints as to what's going on. We'd like, oh, okay, well this is for this and this for that, and then it can realize what's going on. Okay, so here we are. We have our links again, and they're an ordered list, and it's basically your home, your about us, our story, products, and contact us. Now, this font here is Dear Joe. This is not your typical sans serif font and your Times New Roman or anything like this. This is a dynamic font, and you get to utilize dynamic fonts inside of your page by this declaration right here. Link rel font def source, and I basically have these fonts on my server. Okay, so if I go to my file structure and I go to fonts, you'll see all of the fonts that are over to the left and being utilized in the document is inside my fonts folder. Okay, so this declaration allows you to use dynamic fonts, and I want to just add a little disclaimer. There are so many varying ways on how to do this from browser to browser to browser to browser to browser. So what you want to make sure you do, like we've talked about in the past, where there were 3 declarations of font styles that are just like the font style that you're trying to utilize, so that you don't lose the beauty of your page because this is not a font that your browser supports. You want to make sure that you come up with fonts that are the 3 fonts that are very close to the main one that you want to be utilized on the website, because if not, then you have deviations. Okay, and then when you see your site again, you're like, oh my god, I thought my site looked one way and it looks like this. IE 8 might render one way, IE 9 might render another way, IE 10 renders another way, Chrome 1, Chrome 37, 49. There are so many deviations, renditions of browsers. So it makes things complicated. It does. And when it comes down to coding. So that's why I said make sure that you at least do that you provide three alternatives so that, you know, even if it doesn't, that Dear Joe doesn't show up, there's something else that's going to show up. Okay. I will come back a little bit later and give you a little update on handling dynamic fonts. Okay, but this is a dynamic font. And you see all the links, home, about us, or whatever the case may be. Next one is our main image. Now, this is what I was trying to tell you. This is a div too, because we've really been into divs. This is a div as well. It's called link container. Now, we're going to look at link container inside of our style sheet. Hold on, let me find it. Okay, here it is. So link container. Now you see the width is 95.5%. The height is 42 pixels. The margins, we are handling it. Now this is another way to do your margins. You know, I just basically said you could do margin and you make it 0 and then auto. But you can also do it where you basically state everything. So this one has been stated. Margin left is auto. Margin right is auto. But the shorthand is the other version that I showed you, okay? And we have our background image. And then we set our background image to no repeat. And I think I've explained this before. If you don't set your background image to no repeat, let's just say, for instance, that you're typing inside of your div. When you type inside of your div and you go past the width, the height of the document, then what happens is it begins to repeat again. So what you do is you set your no repeat so that the document just ends there and it just goes to white space or whatever your default background is, okay? Okay, so there we are. So now we're going back. We have our main image, that's set, and then remember, we talked about divs that were side by side. We had a left div and we had a right div. Well, we utilized the same thing right here inside of this website. So we have our main container, which I'm clicking on, and then you have a left div and you have a right div. The right div is about the process. The left div is about shea butter. And then the next thing that we have is we have the links. Now, the links are at the bottom, about shea and the process. When you click on here, I put those links inside of a div, okay? That div has the class of white font. And you see, here's our classes. We talked about classes and everything. All this information is now coming together, as you can see, because we want our website to look exactly like our image right here that was inside of Photoshop, okay? Going back to Photoshop. Now, class white font. We're going to go back to our style sheet and we're going to look for the class white font. And as you can see, we have a font family. It's Copperplate Gothic Light. And it's only one, which is not really ideal to do, but remember we should have at least 2 more to back me up in case the browser doesn't know how to render that particular font. And then we have the color is white. The font size is 24 pixels. Float to the right. Remember we talked about that. Our one's going to float to the right, one's going to float to the left. Now, you'll see this thing. Margin right is 20 pixels. Okay, so let's say, for instance, you want to be able to move a div to a certain location on the page, okay? You can literally say from the main div or where it's starting at, where it's merging at, to move it over to the right 20 pixels, okay? So it's going to move over. And so that's how you shift things. That's how you shift divs. Use your margins, okay? And then the next one, we have margin from the top. Because what happened was on this particular item, and as you can see, the div is really, really big. We wanted about shea butter to be at the bottom of that particular div, of the big div. So we put a top margin there to move it down. We don't do enter till we get it to where we want to. We have a bunch of P's on the page. How you handle that is you get your div and you play around with your margins. Okay, so that's how you handle that. Okay, and then the last part is our lower half. Now I didn't finish our lower half because I actually wanted to save lower half for the lesson right now. Okay, so our lower half right now is, we want to set, I have the width at 62. I want to set the width to 100%. Actually, probably, let me see, 96.5. I think the other ones up top are 96.5. We have our margins at 0 already, the background color, whatever the case may be, okay? Okay, and we want to make that lower part look just like this image right here that we had in Photoshop. I want to make it a little bigger so you can see it. Okay, so we're going to add Shade Tree Essentials up there at the top. Now, I think the font here is copper. Oh no, it's monotype Cursiva. Okay, so we're going to type Shade Tree Essentials. Okay, and then after that we have our dear Joe font without our links. So we're going to just type everything out, and then we'll add our cascading style sheets. Add a class to our CSS so that we can manipulate it how we want to. Okay. Actually, what we probably need to do, let me go back, is add 2 divs. We have a div to the left and we'll have a div to the right of the main div. So let's put that in place first. I actually moved ahead of myself. Okay, so we're going to have div style float to the left. And we're going to have another div style. It's going to float to the right. Okay, we talked about this earlier, so you should be a little familiar with this. Okay, and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to set the width of those styles. And remember, don't forget your semicolons because that ends your sentence pretty much in the coding world. Okay, and so let's say the width will be 50%. Actually, I think I would probably do 60 here and then 40% here. Okay. Okay. So there you have it. You have your 60 and you have your 40, and that equals your 100. Well, actually, we have 96.5, so I can't really do that. Let's just make it a little bit smaller to compensate for that. I didn't pay attention to that. Okay, so there we go. We have our left and we have our right. Okay, now we can go ahead on and type all of our text. So we have shade. And let me zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. Shade Tree Essentials. And then the next thing we have is home, about us, our story, our products. Okay. Home, about us, our story, our products, contact us, and weather disclaimer. Okay, so now at the bottom you have this weather disclaimer. This is what we were talking about in our previous lesson, where this is not necessarily something that you want to make so obvious, but you do want to be able to provide that kind of information. If you look at the bottom of the page, there's a link called weather disclaimer. Now you can make it, you know, it's up to what you choose. You can make this something that is in your main link structure, or you can put it just in the footer, okay? But in the case of this website, I put it in the footer. I mean, I put it in the footer and not in the main links, okay? The next thing you want to do is you want to add your social media links and your copyright information, okay? So let's do it this way, because I don't necessarily want to copy it again. I want to copy and paste that text. Okay, so it's copyright 2014 Shade Essentials. and actually should be Shade Tree Essentials. All rights reserved. Who was designed by? If you were a web design firm, you would particularly care about that, because the more links that are linking back to your site, and even it's really more importantly quality links, but you know, then you have those links that are just linking back to your site. The more links linking back to your site gives you clout with certain keywords. Okay, so here we go. 2014, which this should actually be 2016. Shade Tree Essentials, all rights reserved. Okay, so you can go to the copyright office. You could take your website and submit it, and your work will be copyrighted. Okay, it doesn't mean that everybody handles that process that way. It is a cost for it, but just so that people can't steal your graphic design and things of that nature, it actually is a good idea to get those things copyrighted. If you ever go to any other sites where you just download templates, because templates nowadays is the now thing, the in thing. Web design firms don't typically design things from scratch anymore. They utilize templates and they modify them and they present them like they designed them themselves. But that's not necessarily what the case is, but there are many people who do that. If that is the case that you're running into, you have to make sure you have a license. When you download it, that's the first thing they give you. They give you a license. And that license dictates whether you can get support from them for whatever kind of issues that arise with that template or not. It's very important to make sure that, you know, your site is copyrighted. It just protects you. And it's a procedure you can do, or it's a procedure you don't have to do. It's totally up to you. Sometimes I do allow my clients, give them that option to have their site copyrighted, especially if it was a custom thing that I did. Okay, moving right along. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead on and add a style to all this text down here in the footer. Okay, so now I had this thing called white font for earlier, and it was for the links. I'm gonna utilize that for the links in the footer. I mean, I had it in the header, excuse me. I'm gonna utilize it for the links in the footer because it's the same font, it's just a different color, okay? So let me find it. Links. I don't even see it. Hold on, let me see what the name of the class is. I think it was link. I think it was called links. Oh, link container. And then the other class is links. Yeah, I was right. Okay, here we go. So if you see this right here, I'm trying to find the main link one, but I don't see it. What happens is you can give the attributes of a particular class to your links, okay? So like right here, you'll see links, a link, okay? So basically what I'm saying is, okay, the link should have the attributes of the class link associated with this particular link. So that means that it doesn't affect your whole page. It's just that in this particular stance, in this particular area, I want the styling that I have for links, for this particular links, to be applied to the links. Does that make, I know it sounds crazy and kooky, but links meaning I name the class links, the class name links to the actual links on that page. And it's only going to be for specific links, not for all of the links on the page, okay? Hopefully I made that a little more clearer. So that's why you have dot links, a link. Dot links, a visited. So a visited, because we haven't talked about that. So a link is the main link. A visited is the link that was clicked on. If a user clicked on the link, then it's in, and they've already gone to it. When the page loads again, you will see it'll be a different color, and it's a different color because they visited this particular page already. A active, when you're actually like hovering over it, or this is something that you just finally clicked it for the first time, then it will change another color. You can change it another color. A, hover, when you just hover your mouse over it. You know, you're not clicking, you're not doing any kind of action outside of just hovering. And then the color happens there. So you can define colors for all these different actions for the links, okay? So you have your main link, what people see when they first see the link. Then you have what people see when they visit a particular page or visit the link. And then you have one when the page is active. Active meaning we're on this page, we're utilizing this page. So let's say, for instance, you have your home page, you have your contact us page, your about us page, and you're on the about us page. Your home page and your contact us page will stay the main colors, but the about us page would be another color. Okay, so you're active. The active color. And then the next thing you have is the hover. So that's when your mouse just kind of like moves over that particular link. So we have all these different attributes that you can define in CSS, okay? So for links. So anyways, so we're going to do the same thing for our links on the bottom. And it's going to be a class called footer. Okay, so here it is. Here's the main links one. Remember I told you I couldn't find the main links class? This is the main links class. So we're going to call it footer. Footer links. Okay. And we're going to add this. I'm doing a lot of copying and pasting because I don't want to have to retype all that. I want to put all this under the main class, footer links, so that you can keep up with what's going on. So we're renaming links to footer links on the copy and pasting that I just did from links, so that it can apply to the appropriate class. Okay, and we want to make the color burgundy like it was in our Photoshop picture. So, hold on a minute. I'm going to select the color. I'm going to copy it out of here, our hexadecimal color. I'm going to copy it from out of here, and I'm going to put it inside of Dreamweaver, okay? And the color is here. And all the other stuff pretty much stays the same, outside of the fact that I didn't make those links a ordered list. Okay, so let me do that real quick because I didn't do that. So we have the open and close for the UL, and then we have the open and close for the LIs. So So now we're going to add our class to our footer links. So it's class equals footer links. And you're gonna move that all the way across to every LI. Okay? Okay, as you can see, it's huge, and obviously I'm spelling something wrong, so hold on. I forgot to put the S on the end of the links. The good thing about Dreamweaver is it shows you what you're doing as you're progressing, so that's a good thing. Okay, now as you can see, these links are absolutely way too huge. So we're gonna take down the size. So hold on a second. Footer links, font size is 1.48. Okay, so let's change that. Let's change it to. Let's just do that. And see what we have from there, because this is me guessing. That's too small. All right, and then we don't need the spacing, because you remember you can adjust the padding and the spacing and things of that nature. And we have our padding set to 5 pixels from the top and the bottom. You don't really need that. And then the margin left, we have it as 50, and the margin left being as 50 is causing everything to go like way over. So we don't need that in this instance. So we actually can say maybe 5 pixels, and that will work. Yeah, that looks a little more clear. Yeah. Trying things out, sorry. Okay, we'll continue to work on that. And then we have our shade tree essentials. We can add our style. Right here, we don't necessarily have to, oh, no, we already have a style. We don't necessarily have to put that in, define that in the CSS unless you want to. So we're gonna put the color of that. And let me go back to Dreamweaver so I can get our color real fast. Okay. All right, so we have that. And we actually want to bold that. And that's another thing that I haven't spoke about before. You can do font weight. Font weight allows you to bold. You can also do strong. We talked about it in HTML previously. It was just strong. It was an open and closed tag. But what you can do is you can actually use font weight and accomplish the same thing as with strong. I want to give it a font of 700, a weight of 700. And so now we can bold our Sage Tree Essentials. Okay, but we don't necessarily want being that it's a div, it's affecting the links, and we don't want our links to be affected. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go back and make that a strong. Okay. Hold on 1 second. I think I did something kooky. Yep. Dreamweaver is not liking me trying to close the strong. I don't get it, but yeah, it's giving me a hard time about it. So anyway, so now we have our UL class, we have our LIs, we have our home, our about us, our story. We have our products, contact us, and weather disclaimer. And then we have the closing of our div, okay? There we go. So we should have, okay, so everything should look like it's supposed to, except for these links that we're still trying to figure out. So here we go. Because we have this break, it's causing a big issue. So let me take the break off. Okay, even though I want the break. There we go. Now we're lined up like I want us to be. I don't know what happened, but there's something kooky going on. Okay, so we have Shade Tree Essentials and all the links. And now we want to go ahead on and add the style to the right side of the div. We've gotten our left side of our div how we want it to be. We want to do that to our right side, okay? So this font is very, 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 very small. So let's make this style on here, add to our style on here, and say that the font size is, I want to say maybe 14 pixels. I think it might be okay. Nope, try something else. 10. Okay, there you go. And then we want to make the color that we had in Photoshop, which was 61600. Okay. All right, that's all we're going to do for this particular lesson. So now, basically, we have our page set up. We have our links at the top. We have our links at the bottom. And I haven't made those links actual links yet, but I just wanted you to see how the styles work and everything like that. We have the right side, which I haven't added the social media icons, but that's nothing but an insert image, or we've taught about how to insert images in a page, and that's basically us creating our page. So you save it as your index, you upload it to your servers. I don't think we've ever talked about uploading to our servers, so let me just go over that real quick. You can double click on the down arrow. You can go to remote info. You select your access as FTP. Whatever your site is, so let's just say mine is personalityweb.com, it'll be ftp.personalityweb.com. Okay, so you're basically defining the protocol. So that's why FTP is in the front. Okay, so ftp.shayessentials.com is what we're using. And whatever your username is, you get those username and the password when you sign up for your hosting account. Okay, and they'll let you know what your FTP information is. And if you don't know it, when you go inside of your cPanels, normally you can create a user. And this is where the login information goes in. It goes in here. And once you press OK, a cache will be created, and you just take your index, you select it, and you upload it to your site, and then you'll be able to see what your site looks like. So in the case of this is on my local computer. This is not on a web server, but you can see what your first website looks like inside of Internet Explorer. Okay, so that's our first lesson. You can download all of the images that go along with this particular web page from www.personalityweb.com/SheaTree, SHEATREE. And in that folder, I have all these images whereby you can follow along, and you can try to create the page yourself so that you can get the hang of creating your first website in HTML. Also, the index page will be there so you can see how the divs are set up, what you should do, and you should really try to do it on your own, and then whatever you can't figure out, go ahead on and go back and refer to that. You have any questions, feel free to call me. Email me. My contact info is nikki@personalityweb.com. That's nikki@personalityweb.com. You can also call. I have no problem with that. The number is 305-725-5581. Okay? Thanks for joining us for this course. You created your first page. I look forward to you in the last and final module. But we'll deal with responsive design, and we'll actually finish the other pages that go along with this website. We'll do it pretty quickly. And you would have created your first site, and you would have learned some responsive web design, okay? And then after that, you'll be able to create your first website for your business. And I look forward to you looking into the other courses that we have to offer, okay? All right, thanks for joining us. See you later. Bye-bye.